Have you watched those?
No.
So you have no idea what's on them.
Holy!
Hell House. It was when you started sleeping there that things started to change.
We were happy they chose our town.
I think we're now.
And welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. Now, on today's episode, we are winding down into October, and we are talking about, all spooky, scary movies this month and all that stuff. So I thought, why not cover something that, is sort of fun. We're doing a found footage movie today, all right? And we are going to be covering a film from 2014/2015, I guess, whenever you want to call it. But it's a found footage horror movie that has kind of gained a traction of its own, and I wanted to talk about it. And that is Hell House LLC. Now, I wanted to also, as we've had other guests on this pod for this month, talking about stuff in these different horror movies, unquote horror movies, if you've seen some of the other things I've covered this month. But in this situation, I wanted to bring someone on who actually brought this movie to my attention to talk about, and I wanted to talk with them about it. So you've heard him on my other podcast. Let me try that again, if that's okay. You've heard them on my other podcasts or other episodes when we've covered like Addams Family Values, Seed of Chucky. You even heard them on Movies That Made Us Gay, talking about also Chucky, which was fun. And I listened to that episode. That was super fun. And we've also talked about Psycho 2 as well. But, they're a good pal of mine, and I always love talking to them. Please welcome back to my show, Travis McMaster. Hello, Travis. How are you?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you? Happy Halloween.
I'm doing good. I know. Happy Halloween. Just trying to live through this October and do what we can. Hopefully it's not the purge outside. You know what I mean? It's all good. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good time. And again, and we're talking about, horror movies, although some of the stuff that I've talked about this month is not necessarily horror, but it's still in the vibe though, and then that's fun. Nice. So that's been a good time. But this is a proper horror movie, I guess. But what I want to know from you, though, Travis, because I put out the idea of okay, I want to cover stuff for October. I want to do horror stuff, obviously, because why not? I want suggestions, right? And you brought this to me, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I've watched Hell House LLC and all of this. But what I want to know from you is when did you find the movie, and what is it about the movie that made you want to come on and talk about it, I guess, because again, this is something I've seen before, but I just kind of want to know what your relationship with it is.
Yeah, so my relationship with this film is I'm really new to this franchise for some stupid reason. I just never got around to it, and I think I got it mixed up with another franchise that I don't know, I wasn't cognizant of what was happening.
Right.
And then with Nightmare on Fear Street in September, saying that they were going to be doing the whole franchise with Girl That's Scary. I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this two podcasts. I can't miss out on those episodes. So just a few weeks ago, my husband and I watched this for the very first time, and I loved it. I'm a big fan of mockumentaries, more I think than found footage, but how they kind of weaved it together as a mockumentary found footage film. Just absolutely loved it. Was super spooked and geeked out watching it late at night. My husband and I, we live in the woods, and like I really felt this one, having gone in not knowing anything about it. I found it very unnerving that first time. So, and then I think like the next day is when you were on Instagram, like, hey, anybody want to hang out and talk about Halloween movies? And I'm like, oh, I got one because like like this is fresh, and I immediately thought of last year when we talked about me coming on to talk about Psycho 2 because I had not seen that, so I thought it'd be refreshing to be back again with a very fresh take of this movie, and yeah.
Absolutely. No, I totally get that. And it's nice. And I don't know, who knows, it'll be maybe an annual thing that we just bring back on for Halloween stuff. Because again, we both appreciate that kind of thing. So it's fun. No, but I like that for you. It makes enough sense that you live like in the woods pretty much, and like this would also be something that would probably like creep you out a little bit, just because like this is in a very kind of, it's supposed to be in sort of a small remote town area kind of a thing. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But I totally understand that for sure. And yeah, and also shout out Sheree, shout out, Kat and Jazz, love your podcasts, of course. I'm gunning to maybe try to go on, hear it right now, Sheree, if you're hearing this, but like I might want to come on Nightmare on Fear Street, honestly. So who knows? Because we are Instagram friends. But anyway, but yeah, no, and my experience with it is that I watched it in probably 2022, I believe, or something like that. I don't want to check my letterbox. I'm not checking my letterbox right now. I don't care. But I think that was when it was. And for me, I did enjoy it. I think I gave it either 3 or 3.5 out of 5 when I first watched it. And that's still where I generally oscillate between, really. I think for a lot of people, especially their first watch of this, it could be something that they really enjoy. And then, especially if you know what's going to happen, it's still something that I enjoyed. Like it's still something where I do also like the mockumentary of it. I like, I'm not always the most, I'm not like I do like found footage, but I think it kind of depends from what that is, I guess. And so, but this one I do think is a better one. And I have also watched all of the movies in this franchise as well, up to Hell House Origins, The Carmichael Manor, that's on Shudder. And even though, from what people have said from hearing the newest movie Lineage, that it may or may not be bad. That's why I've been hearing it's bad. I still am probably going to end up pulling up on it because I am a completionist nonetheless. So I am going to at least try to do that. But yeah, that's my experience with it too. And it's just what that is. Now that you say that you kind of are more of a fan of mockumentaries though than you are maybe a found footage, what are some of like your favorite mockumentary films though? Like if you had to kind of give a list or think about the ones that you really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, Drop Dead Gorgeous is of course at the top of that list.
That's a good one.
What We Do in the Shadows is a great. I
haven't watched that yet. I have not watched the movie of that yet. I did watch the TV show and I kind of fell off the TV show, but I do want to get back into it. But I agree.
I've never seen the TV series. Well, I think I started it and then we didn't have the streaming network.
Right, Hulu or something, right?
Yeah, but love the movie. Oh my goodness, like the spaghetti or paschetti. Like I'm actually making paschetti tonight for dinner.
I made it last night.
So snaps to those who know that reference from the movie.
Oh my god!
And like Best in Show comes to mind. I think that's a mockumentary that has Eugene Levy, and I mean that's a
horror.
I
would say so. Yeah, it does.
But I mean, like Drop Dead Gorgeous, for sure, and What We Do in the Shadows at the top, and like blanking on one other one, but it doesn't matter. So
yeah, no, totally. Tap. Oh, Spinal Tap, yeah, because that also had a anniversary. I remember where it was coming back to the theaters as well. So I haven't seen that one either. I know it's because Christopher Guest is in that movie, right? Or Harry? No. I don't know if Christopher Guest is in it, but he might have been a part of it. I know Harry Shearer's in it. He's one of the Simpson guys. I know that. I think he's in there. He's one of the rock band people. But I have not watched that. And is there a sequel of that coming out now, like or something like that? Do you know?
I actually was wondering that same question, like looking at like new release of music yesterday morning. I need to look into it. And I have like one of those passes where you can go to like the movie, like particular franchise of movies, like whatever. Yeah. Right. So I need to leverage that to see the Spinal Tap, and I will be leveraging that to see the new Hell House movie. Despite being a little behind on the franchise, I will be getting caught up. So,
no, you can be caught up, and what's nice is that there's only 3 other movies that you can watch right now, and actually they're pretty easy to watch. So you just have to find the time, and I think they're all on Shudder right now, from what I understand. So if you have Shudder, you can watch them, and yeah. So can't talk too much about your thoughts on the sequels because you have not seen them yet, but yeah, they are. It's an interesting franchise, to say the least, for sure.
nice.
Yeah, but let's get into some of these figures of the movie, and then we'll also just talk about I don't know how much context we're going to give with like 2014 2015 horror. I mean, we can give a little bit of that, but we'll probably talk more about just like where this movie takes place and all this. So yeah, but this premiered at the Telluride Horror Show, which is probably a part of the Telluride Film Festival, in October of 2015, October 16th specifically, and November 1st 2016 is when it actually came out. It didn't come out theatrically or anything, so I have no information about that, but it did come out like on a bunch of streaming services, like on demand and like video on demand streaming services. So that's mostly where you have that at. Really, honestly, this newest one, the Lineage movie, is the only one that has ever really come out in theaters like that, from what I understand. For whatever reason, 93 minutes, so it does get in and get out, and I think that is what the director's cut length is. And the director's cut might be a little bit longer, but not by much. It's not going to take 2 hours of your time or anything. Yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah, can I when we turned it on the other week, and I was like, oh, it's like all about a 90-minute movie. Yes to that, all day,
Yes.
every day. Like I was ready just to press play because of the runtime.
Yeah.
So.
That's nice. It's not too long, and it feels like a proper mockumentary type thing. So
yeah.
I don't have any distributor information. Like I did say, this came out on video on demand, and also this is a very small budget movie. There is no budget information. Stephen Cognetti just literally did the movie. So there's that. Although, like I said, Shudder does have quite a few of it, and I think they also helped with like the newest movie. I don't know about the Lineage movie, but I think the Carmichael Manor movie, I think Shudder was sort of a part of that, which makes enough sense. Get a name behind it, especially since they've been making stuff like In a Violent Nature, Clown in a Cornfield, a couple things like that. So it makes enough sense. Oh,
I just saw that recently too. That was a lot of fun.
I haven't watched Clown in a Cornfield yet, but I do have it on the list. So, but I was watching, I really enjoyed In a Violent Nature. I know some people did not, but I liked it. And also I watched The Ugly Stepsister, which was in theaters as well, but I watched it on Shudder and I really liked it as well. So,
yeah. I have friends that told me I need to see that. Shout out to Tom and Jennifer.
Oh, hell yeah, Sean and Jennifer. Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
Ugly Stepsister. The way I'll explain it is that imagine you're watching Ever After with Drew Barrymore, but it's way more fucked up.
Good.
There we go. That's all that is. Rotten Tomatoes score, we have a 70% from the critics with about 10 reviews, and then 71% from the audiences with about 500 plus ratings. So again, this is a movie series that, especially a movie that I don't think it's not that it's not widely known, but it's definitely something where I think people who really like found footage type movies would know it, and who like horror movies, I guess, would know it. But this isn't something that the populace knows about, like fucking Terrifier. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that's well known highly like that in a way. Or even people who know Terrifier only know because of fucking Art the Clown, really. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, and hopefully with it getting the newest one getting a theatrical release, that will encourage more folks to go back and check out the whole franchise.
Watch it, right?
Because I mean, this first one, and I've heard like different opinions of like the rest of the other movies and how it ebbs and flows, but
yes,
holy shit, like this first one, like
is good.
It's hard. Like it's
I think
so
it's good.
I would put this on the list of like where I would want to like invite people over who haven't seen it just so I can like experience that with them.
Yeah.
And there's just like, I mean, there's so many shots where like your eyes are running through the screen. I think it's also going to reward like multiple viewings too, to see like, did you miss something? Is it what? So
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And you can really get into that sort of a thing. And I totally agree with that. I think this one is kind of the best one out of that. It's that and the Carmichael Manor one. I think those are actually pretty decent. Second and third kind of depend. People really don't like the third one. The second one is okay, but but still, but I agree. I think this one is kind of just like a start, which is why we're not talking about the series. We're talking about just the first movie. But I do think that it's a worthwhile entry or a start for this, which is cool. And then on Letterboxd, it sits at a 3.1 out of 5 from the Voice of the People. So that's fun. And then we have our cast and our crew. So again, this is a very small crew and cast, really. We have Stephen Cognetti, who is kind of the shepherder of this franchise. He has done all of these Hell House movies. He's been involved in them as director and writer in all of this. We have a composer, Patrick Castillo. There's not too much music in this movie, but there's still a composer, and he's done this movie. And then his cinematographer is Brian C. Harnick, who did this movie specifically. But I think also some of the other producer people in this have also been like the cameraman and stuff like that, or camera person, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of a fun time. This movie does not have like a credited editor either. So I guess that makes enough sense. Like they're not, they're editing stuff, obviously, because it's in that mockumentary style. It's supposed to be like you found this footage and that, there isn't supposed to be a ton of like crazy edits in it. But it's one of those things where, they obviously have like an extended cut of this, which is the director's cut, which I guess we'll be talking about because I think we watched it. But also there's no like literal credited editor that I could find. So there's that.
Interesting.
And we'll talk more about the set designer of this more in our production notes history, because that woman has an interesting like connection with Hell House. So that's interesting. Our actors, there's not a ton of people in this movie that are went on and did a bunch of crazy big things. Again, I think these are a lot of people that Stephen Cognetti either knew of or who he just auditioned locally in I would assume like New York or even in Pennsylvania, because this movie is shot in Pennsylvania a little bit. So there's that. But Ryan Jennifer Jones is our main character of Sarah. She's kind of one of our de facto main characters. So that's her. I have to remember who all these people are, by the way, but I know she's Sarah specifically. Danny Bellini, who I'm trying to remember who he is. I'm looking up Letterboxd right now.
Yeah, Danny is Alex.
He's Alex. So he's like the head honcho of it all. Him and Sarah are together. They're boyfriend and girlfriend. So that makes enough sense. But again, he hadn't really done too much else. There we go. Gore Abrams, who plays Paul in this movie, who's the guy who like... Yeah, I know. He's so gross, isn't he? But then he also disappears and comes back. That whole thing. He's also the guy in the bed who like gets scared by the random person walking around in the fucking like house. But he is in Hell House 3 specifically. I guess he shows back up. But for anybody who watched The Substance last year, he's actually the across the way neighbor to Elizabeth Sparkle, the one who's like banging on her door and like, he's about to like come and cuss out Demi Moore. But then when Margaret Qualley comes to the door, he's just like, like how men would do. But yeah, that is Gore Abrams. So
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen The Substance.
Oh my God. You should probably watch it. It's really fun. And yes, then you'll be that guy. So yeah, the guy who gets really scared in his room, or he sees the like woman in his room and then he like puts the blanket over his head. That is, that guy is the same guy that's in The Substance. So that's kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Jared Hacker, who is Tony. He has also only really been in this movie. So there's that. And then we have, who else is there? Adam Schneider's another one. He is Mac. So he's kind of like the, I feel like he's the older out of the group in a way, kind of, sort of. He actually had been in a movie called Dark Skies, which was, I think a few years after this. I don't remember Dark Skies very well, nor have I ever seen it. But I think it's like I don't think it's an alien movie, but it's a horror movie. It's like maybe a sci-fi movie, but I don't remember. There's that, and then Alice Bacall, I guess maybe that's her name. I don't know. She's in Hell House 1 and 2, and she plays Diane, who is just nosy and just wants to get the tea. And I mean, I understand Diane, but like also, spoiler, you end up dead. So
Yeah, should have answered that phone call.
I'm just saying you should answer that phone call. Like, agreed, 100%. And then, of course, we will talk a little bit about Andrew Tully, because he is a part of the movie, but he is not actually in the film. So, but we will obviously have to talk about the legend of Hell House. So there's that. But yeah, and I mean, in terms of like giving any sort of context about what was going on in like movies or horror at the time or whatever in 2014, 2015. I mean, I think especially for this, like you have like found footage. I think what this movie in particular kind of had going for it was that it wasn't like because Paranormal Activity was still happening around this time, right? Like if I had to remember correctly, like it kind of was still happening. So this movie did do a bit of a difference from Paranormal Activity, which I think set it aside a little bit, especially when people could be sort of paranormal activity out after a while. So I think that this movie had that going for it really, which was nice. And I think also this is like right around the time or even right before you're having a lot of these like Blumhouse movies coming out. Not that Blumhouse hadn't done stuff already, because I think they had, but we didn't have the glut of stuff coming from them that we now kind of do in a way, for better or worse sort of a thing. So yeah, if you had to, I don't know I didn't know you in 2014 or 2015. I was coming out of college. So, if you had to tell me, Travis, like, what did you think of when, 2014, 2015 in horror, if you were watching it at that time, like, what makes you think of that, I guess, like what movies or that kind of stuff? Like, how would you set the scene for this? Cause it has been 10 years that we're about. So that's kind of crazy, but yeah, that's what I want to hear a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, like, I had to do a quick Google search because I'm like, what did come out at that point? Like,
right.
It looks like the Babadook came out that year. The first Anarchy came out that year.
Mm-hmm. You're
right. Unfriended, As Above, So Below. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yes, that just had come out. Yep, you're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Anything? Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Like, yeah, there was just a lot kind of going on. You had these different movies coming out, and even I think maybe The Purge was a part of Blumhouse. I don't remember, but that's so interesting. You see the Babadook because that's you're totally right. You are absolutely right. That was also coming out around this time, and then you can get into the idea of elevated horror, which we're not talking about right now, but like, the Babadook is kind of like starting off that conversation, and then you would just see movies after that where they're seen as this kind of elevated horror thing. And I think that's another conversation that was also kind of brought into the forefront as well, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I did a quick little search on 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Sinister. Oh, wait, no. Sinister 2 was out at that point.
Yes, it was. Yep, you're right.
Crimson Peak, which, I mean, I guess isn't really horror, but it's like gothic horror.
I consider it horror.
I mean, I think I love that movie. So
it's good.
Yeah. Green Room, Krampus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, what was I doing? Like, I remember I proposed to my husband in 2014, and we got married in 2016. But like, all of that is like a blank. But you were coming out of college at that point. Boy, I was like, like in the field. They cheers longer than that in my career. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about my career.
Hey, listen, it's fine. Yeah, I'm trying to think like what else was maybe at the Telluride Festival too. Like I'm trying to see that too. Like they had done God, what else? The Invitation, I think, had come out. You ever seen The Invitation? You ever see that movie?
Yeah. I think I've seen there's two of them, right? Like there's like the one where it's like people meet in a house,
yes.
And then there's like a vampire one, I think.
Yes, The Invitation from 2021 or whatever. That's the vampire one. The Invitation that I'm talking about is the one that's Karen Kusama, Jennifer's Body, and Girl Fight. And she did that movie, and it's about a dinner party gone wrong kind of a thing. Yeah. You're right.
I saw it one time. I have seen it. I would revisit it because I remember being like, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
It's a good time.
Yeah, that it was. The Witch came out in 2015, apparently.
You're right. You're right. Bone Tomahawk was another one that came out in 2015 at Telluride. The Devil's Candy, which was Sean Byrne, which a lot of people know him for. Have you ever seen The Loved Ones or heard of it? Ever?
Not ringing any bells.
Oh, okay. So The Devil's Candy was another movie that came out in 2015 at Telluride, but also if you've noticed the movie Dangerous Animals that has been kind of talked about a little bit, that movie was also done by Sean Byrne and he did The Devil's Candy. So that makes enough sense. And then Hell House LLC that we're talking about today. Just trying to see what else there is that I can see.
Kind of bummed out that it's Halloween season and I'm not currently sitting with candy, but it's probably for
That's
the
fine.
best.
Well, yeah, true, maybe. You're also trying to do your I was about to say you're also on your kind of vegan thing too a little bit, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, but I found some like really good vegan like gummies that have like tahini seasoning.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh my goodness, like I'm burning through those bags. So
Nice.
I'm glad it's probably for the best.
Sure, yeah, that's true. Oh, they also screened The Nightmare Before Christmas at the Telluride Film Festival that year, and also The Return of the Living Dead. That's fun. I like
Black
that.
Coat's Daughter came out in 2015.
Oh yeah, you're so right.
That movie
I was just
slaps.
thinking about that. That movie does slap. I don't care what anybody says. I like Oz Perkins' movie. I haven't seen all of his movies, but let me tell you something. Black Coat's Daughter, it kind of rips. It's pretty.
Shout
good.
out to my buddy Trevor, who was like, "Dude, but how have you not seen this? You got to see this." And I ended up watching it.
No,
like,
it's
couple years
actually
ago.
really, yeah, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, no, I like that movie quite a bit. It's that and like I know Longlegs, people didn't really love Longlegs, but I actually didn't dislike it. I wasn't like the worst. Yeah, it was perfectly fine. They did some shorts there. Okay, so that's like the big thing about Telluride. That's what was showing there. So that makes no sense. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about in 2015. Like there's a lot of things going on. You got Oz Perkins on the forefront. Right before this, actually this is right before you have things like Get Out come out, you know what I mean? So that's like there's just a lot of things going on. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I guess let's talk a little bit about some production history because I think you do have some info about this, Travis. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yes.
But yeah, so let's talk a little bit. So Stephen Cognetti, the director and writer of this movie, he wrote this script in 2012 after visiting an abandoned house near Rockland Lake, New York. Because again, this is all set in New York, right? So it took him about a year to actually make a draft of this that was ready to go into production. So he then took this, he cast the roles from New York City in 2014, and production took place shortly after in May. Now, initially, Stephen was looking for an abandoned house for them to shoot in, as the script had, originally it's going to all take place in this like abandoned house, and they're just going to like try and buy one, and like that's what they'll do, right? As early as 2012, he had visited many different abandoned locations and homes, including two that were in New York County, where the story takes place in Rockland County, which also comes back in specifically. Not a big spoiler or anything, but it does take place. Like the fourth one takes place in Rockland County, New York, so that makes sense. But he didn't find anything suitable in that area, so instead he started meeting with people who had real haunted house attractions that they could shoot in. And this is where Stephen met Angie Moyer, who owns the Waldorf Estate of Fear, which is in, do you want to try this name of this town in Pennsylvania, Travis, since you are from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, sure. So it's in wish me luck. I think it's Tawamising Township, Pennsylvania.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so this was like an existing attraction. He thought the location was perfect. He locked it in as the primary shooting location, and Angie would be the set designer of this movie. And the script had to be changed a little bit to reflect, some changes in the area and all that. But that's how that worked. Now, you told me you have some information about the Waldorf Estate of Fear, so I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, it was so cool to learn through kind of the research here that they ended up shooting at a place in Pennsylvania, and Tawamising. Oh, I don't think I got that right. Township. It's north of like Allentown, so it's like northeast Pennsylvania. But the Waldorf Estate of Fear is a popular haunted attraction in the area. And like it gets pretty wild. The history of the Waldorf Estate involves murders from 1929 by a man named Oliver Somersby.
Oh
And the
my.
legend has it that Somersby opened up the Waldorf Hotel and murdered the people who stayed there. And he was ultimately killed by the father of a girl he murdered.
Oh my.
And it's like, I actually, if you'd like to hear it, I did pull from the Waldorf Estate of Fears website, like the whole story in and of itself, which is pretty wild. So happy to read that if you'd like.
Let's hear the story of Oliver Summersby.
Yeah, so the legend of the Waldorf Estate, again, credit to the waldorfestateoffear.com about us page, says, ask anyone in Palmerton about Oliver Summersby, and they'll tell you about what happened that gruesome night in 1929. The night he stole the lives of everyone inside the Waldorf Hotel, and then disappeared into thin air. But ask the folks of Forest Inn about Oliver, and you'll get a different story and one you won't forget. So, in 1955, a seemingly wealthy gentleman from California built an establishment along Route 209 in Lehighton. So, Lehighton is the town where this is at. A pub and restaurant with rooms to rent, calls it the Waldorf Hotel. And it's a place for the middle class people to basically be merry and rest their souls. But rest their souls never will. Over the next 10 years, this quote unquote gentleman from California tortured and killed at least 25 innocent people, women, children, whomever he could get his hands on, the ones he thought no one would miss until he picked the wrong little girl. Ella, a beautiful, sweet girl, the prized possession of her father, Thomas, the town's new butcher. Thomas just wouldn't stop until he found out what happened to his little girl. He searched night and day for 2 weeks before he ended up at the Waldorf Hotel. Fatherly intuition told him that this was the place he would find his daughter. He tore into the pub, searching every room until he came across the mysterious man from California, crouched in a corner of the attic with a grin on his face. At that moment, Thomas realized that the man before him was none other than Oliver Summersby. He lunged at Oliver, but came to a sudden halt when he was laying beside him. It was the remains of his beloved daughter, maimed and nearly unrecognizable in death. Before Thomas had any time to react, the flash of pain ripped through his chest. Oliver had stabbed him in the heart. But Thomas refused to be taken down so easily, and he would avenge his child. With this thought came the strength enough for Thomas to rip the blade from his own chest and plunge it into Oliver's. They would both die there on the floor in mixed pools of blood. And the tale of good versus evil should have ended there, but it doesn't. It will live on forever, and as all who enter will come to witness their own, for the souls of all killed remain here, restless and looking for revenge. So you may have even come to witness a ghost of Oliver Summersby himself. And then, of course, it's come inside because it's the haunted attraction. But the story is wild.
Scary. Yeah. And either Angie's really good at storytelling and made that whole legend up, or that's a real legend. I don't know, but I'll take it. It's fine. But yeah, no, and that's so perfect that like then Steven comes in and he's like, oh yeah, this place has worked perfect for my movie. And then in a way, like it makes sense because then Andrew Tully, it has a similar-ish story as we know, right? So it's interesting that he comes in and he's is like murdering some of the patrons of his Abaddon Hotel, right? So interesting.
It'd be really cool to like if you ever get to meet the director, writer, understand like how much influence this location ended up bringing to the original story itself. So
agreed. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, once they filmed the thing in Pennsylvania, right, the production moved to New York City where most of these interviews were done for the mockumentary. And in mid-June, filming was complete. This movie went into post-production. It was edited for the next 5 months, and then a private screening of a rough cut would be shown at the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts at the Rose Studio. After some quick edits, the film was locked just before its first public screening at the Telluride Horror Festival, the show in October 2015. This would also screen at the Fear Fest Film Festival at the same week, where it won the Best Paranormal Film Award. And the worldwide distribution rights for Hell House LLC were acquired by Terror Films, with a North American VOD release on November 1st, 2016. So that's why this movie was, I guess, technically a 2014-2015 movie, but we never actually saw it out until 2016, unless you were like, doing the film festival circuit at this time or something like that. So yeah, there's that. That's a little bit of that production history, though. So yes, it's a movie that takes place, quote unquote, in New York, but was actually all shot in Pennsylvania, which was kind of fun. And then some of it was shot in New York. So there's that. And yeah, there's that kind of a thing. Anything else you found out about the production or anything that you'd want to share before we kind of move into a breakdown of our plot?
We got nothing else. I think the story of the
Gotcha.
estate kind of takes the cake on that.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll kind of move into our plot as well, though. So this movie goes back in time a little bit. This takes place in 2009, on October 8th of 2009. There was this unexplained tragedy that happened at a place called Hell House. This was a haunted house attraction in the town of Abaddon, upstate New York, in which 15 people, including nearly all of the staff of Hell House, died at what authorities declared as a severe malfunction, quote unquote, right? So, because people are nosy a little bit, a documentary film crew investigating the tragedy, led by this producer, Diane Graves, are interviewing people who are familiar with the case and find rumors of something supernatural behind this tragedy. So the crew tracks down like the sole surviving member of Hell House, who is Sarah Havel, who provides them with uncut, behind-the-scenes footage that the Hell House staff shot up to the tragedy. So pretty much, I don't remember exactly when they started, but like it was literally that they started probably a few months before, and that's when they started filming everything up to when this actually happened.
Yep. Yeah. The title slide, I think, started in August. So end of August of 2009 up to the point of Halloween.
Right. Gotcha.
Best birthday month, just saying.
Right, exactly. So as part of this, they come across this location and they are, building it up. They hire several scare actors, including Melissa, who shares with Alex and the cameraman Paul that the hotel is rumored to be haunted. So they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, like whatever. And their expert interviews, which have different journalists and stuff like that, give the documentary crew just like further context. So the legend of the Abaddon is that the hotel was originally constructed by an alleged cultist named Andrew Tully, we mentioned him before, who chose the location based on the fact that the town shared the same name as Abaddon, which is known as a demon who guards the gateway to hell. In 1989, two guests went missing while staying at this hotel, an 11-year-old girl and her mother. Though Tully was cleared of their disappearance, though, the hotel's reputation was completely ruined, and he ultimately hung himself shortly thereafter, which kind of coincides with a little bit of the legend we heard a little earlier of the Waldorf estate of fear, that there was also murders that happened here. And, not that a parent killed in this situation, but that, a daughter and her parent were killed, and, the hotel never really recovered from that. As the Hell House staff, they set up the house. They began capturing different supernatural events on camera. So like a clown mannequin that keeps moving on its own, these different shadowy figures that appear and that disappear during these different strobe light effects. So be aware of that, I guess. I know it's a little late to say this, but like, yeah, if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, just know it's in here. So just be aware. And like Paul and Sarah being like possessed in the middle of the night or something. Despite all this, though, the owner of Hell House LLC, which is Alex, he is determined to make this attraction open on schedule. As the hauntings escalate, though, Paul, who is the guy from The Substance, he is considering quitting despite his loyalty to Alex. And later that night, he goes missing after being assaulted by this ghost girl. And the next day, the crew finds Paul in the basement in like a fugue state. Tony, who is the staff technician who's in charge of all the tech stuff, he quits after an increasingly delusional Alex continues to push forward. However, their friend Mac convinces him to stay for Alex's sake. They have a very dramatic little scene in like a field somewhere about this. Hell House has a huge opening. However, things quickly go awry as the audience learns that of the tragedy's origins of this where they're at. And there's this basement scene that they're doing with Melissa, Joey, who they've hired as somebody as well to play one of the clowns. But in this basement scene, Melissa, who is I think she's supposed to be either 18 or she might be a little underage, actually, to be honest. But Melissa is suddenly and brutally killed by a shadowy ghost cultist, causing a stampede of guests. And in the chaos, Tony is then killed trying to save Melissa, and Mac and Sarah then find each other in the panic and flee up to the attic, where they find Alex is hanging, and whether he's hanging himself or he's being hung there, I don't know. Sarah flees as Mac is surrounded and killed by these shadowy ghost cultists, cutting out the footage from 2009. So that's where we think the movie ends, from oh my God, here's what the tragedy they're talking about is, right? So we're back in the present in 2015, I guess, right? Or 2014. And in the present, Sarah asks for a break from her interview because, again, we're to assume all of this is being seen by these these are all the tapes that she gave them, right? And so she tells Diane that she'll be in her hotel room 2C, okay? And she suggests that the crew enter the Abaddon Hotel to see the crime scene. And because Diane already wanted to do that anyway. So then soon after, Diane and her cameraman, they attempt to leave a message at the hotel reception desk for Sarah. But the receptionist there says that there's nobody who under that name here. There's no room 2C at their hotels. So, I don't exactly know who you're talking about, right? So then Diane and her cameraman decide to go to the Abaddon Hotel, which we see earlier that they were there and then they didn't go in, or this is the footage that we're seeing. But then we cut back to see the footage with them with Sarah, and that's where the most of the movie was. But then we're back where the Abaddon is. Mitchell, a member of their documentary film crew who was given all of these tapes, stays behind to catalog all of this footage. And he discovers footage after Mac was killed. So after the attic scene, right, where a possessed Paul kills Sarah before slitting his own throat. So that's kind of weird and creepy. So at the end of this movie, Diane and her cameraman, they break into the Abaddon to see the aftermath of what has unfolded. We've already seen some of this from that old footage as well. So we know at this point that Sarah is actually dead, right? And so they then go to the second floor where they see a room that's labeled 2C. And when they enter the room, they find Sarah sitting to her back with her back to them. And Diane and her cameraman try to flee this situation, but then they are attacked by Sarah and two other shadow cultists. And then our movie is brought to a close. So that is the plot of Hell House LLC, if you have not seen it before. So yeah, I mean, it is a found footage movie, so there's different beats and stuff throughout it. I guess if I had to ask you, Travis, what are some of the scenes for you that kind of stick out as somebody who's recently watched this? What are some of your kind of standout scenes in this film and kind of really worked for you as a movie?
So I guess before I answer that, kind of one of the things I realized when the second time I watched it, though, when the cameraman at the very end is like, no, we're not, we don't need to go in there. The second time watching it, I'm like, always listen to your cameraman. The cameraman's going to get you out of there. Joel in Scream 2 bolted. I think Kenny was trying to get out, but man, if the cameraman says we're not going in there, I'm like, you know what?
You shouldn't go.
Trust your gut.
Right, exactly.
Let's see, in terms of the scenes that really stood out, of course, everything when Sarah, I guess kind of I don't want to start at the end, but okay, there it is. So when with Paul, when Paul was doing his close-ups, every close-up of Paul laying in his bed, my eyes were on that red, the red hallway in terms of what's happening. Something's gonna move, and so when you get to the point where there's that figure that actually does move, it was chilling. Yeah, and then later on when we get to the girl in the room, it's chilling, and then he's running over the blankets. So,
oh my god,
definitely that.
Yeah, totally.
As someone that has an active imagination at times, I could see in the dark figures, and my brain will speak me a little bit. So that definitely caught me.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, the strobe light test scene, I think
Mm-hmm.
is probably like one of the top ones up there. And that's when I think especially rewards repeat viewings.
I would agree. Yeah. Yeah, that one didn't really like. I think when I first saw it, I don't know what I thought of it, but now watching it again, I recently watched it over the beginning of this month or whatever, and like in preparation for this. But like, yeah, that one definitely like where it's just creepy because you in that kind of situation you don't know what's there and what isn't, right? And so when you can count that, like, okay, there's supposed to be this many things here, but then there's this extra thing there, and you're just like, where the hell did that come from? And it's just really, it's unsettling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And with the strobe, like it's so jarring and like to try to remember like what did we see when the lights were on and then
Hmm.
remembering it's like, okay, there's a figure here, and it's like, wait, was that a thing? And it's so quick that in some ways like you're kind of like turned off or like freaked out, but then in other times it's like, well,
Hmm.
wait, did I see this? So again, I think that's where it rewards a
Yeah.
repeat viewing.
I would agree. Yeah, I think there's that. One of the other scenes for me, we'll kind of go to the end, I guess, a little bit. I like the ending of where we see the footage after this whole thing where Sarah and Paul are there, and that whole scene where she's killed and then he kills himself by slitting his throat. That one just really kind of stuck with me too. And I think it's a really good because I think also like weren't they when they were first going into the Abaddon, right? Like they were looking around, they found a piece of this plate, right? And I think it's just interesting that I feel like this piece of the plate that like Paul picked up, right? And he like showed the camera at the beginning, it almost makes me feel like that is what he ended up killing himself with, which is interesting. And yeah, I don't know. Like that's just it's just, but it's unsettling to say the least, in my opinion. And also just knowing that like at this point, like we understand that like oh no, like Sarah has been dead. So who the hell were they just talking to for like an hour? Like you know what I mean, or however long. So yeah.
Yeah, when they cut back to the interview room and
Mhm.
Sarah's like, 2C, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and then of course Diane and the cameraman, they go to the front desk, leave that message. And the moment the front desk person's like, well, we don't have letters in our
We don't
room
have that.
names, and like that
Right.
person's not here, it was like, oh shit. Like,
Like these
here we go.
this is peak as two white people listen, this is like peak white people behavior, like seriously. I am literally like, why would you have even why would you even try to go at this point? What are we doing? Like I get you're trying to get the scoop, Diane, I understand, however, girl, you bet, and look what you're at, dead in hell. What the hell, like
Well, and that's similar to Paul, like early on in the movie where he's like, I heard a strange noise. Let me go investigate it. I'm like, what?
what are you
No.
doing?
Lock the
No.
door, hang out in that room, wait till the sun comes up.
No, literally though, literally. Oh, and also, like, what kind of shit? Like, why are you staying at this hotel? Like, what? Why in the hell do you need to stay in the attraction? Why? What's the point of that?
Oh,
What is this?
that's a money saving thing right there in
It
terms
must
of
be, I
like,
guess. But I'm just like, this is like, oh my god,
when I
oh my
think,
gosh,
sorry, you bring that up, like you
yeah,
asking about why stay in the hotel and me making the comment of finances actually takes
it's
me back
true.
to a standout scene that thought stood out, maybe for like the wrong reason,
Sure, sure.
is when wait, the character's name is Mac, but I have it in my
Hmm.
notes as like, what's his real name? Andy.
Yeah, something like
Um,
that, right? Adam or some bullshit, right? Exactly.
yeah, when like him and
Is it?
Tony,
Yeah, him and Tony.
when Tony's like, I'm out, like this clown head's removed, I'm done.
Right,
And they
right.
have like that like buddy moment, and then they're in the
Hmm.
field, and it's like it's not clear if it is like what makes them stay.
Hmm.
Um, and I tried to do a little bit of sleuthing on the internet. I think like it seems like there's a general consensus maybe that like it might be a financial thing where like
I would agree.
Alex
Yeah.
has put like all the money into this. There is no other money. Like this has to work because of
Hmm.
if not like debt collectors, all the things that would come with like
Right.
the negative side of maybe a unwell balanced business are going to come reeling
Hmm.
in, and then of course that waterfalls to them. So
Yeah.
yeah, that idea of like, oh, having to stay in that house, like talk about not taking a break from your work. Oh, and
Oh
that's a
God.
funny comment. Sorry,
Right.
I'm like running with the mic now.
No, you're
Um,
fine.
there were a few moments that but one of the reasons I did enjoy this movie, I know, is not just from the mockumentary of it all, but just
Hmm.
some of like the language, some of the comedic beats. Obviously, this is not a comedy,
No,
but
of
like
course.
just some of the things that they say to each other, like I laughed a handful of times, um, like throughout the movie. So
Right.
it felt very real in terms of like these are like real people. Like Paul
Hmm.
sucks in terms of like his behavior, but
Yeah.
like I'm sure we all know somebody that kind of acts like that. So
Right.
like
Right.
it felt very real. But when before the beginning of the strobe light scene, when I think the one guy's like, "Don't shit yourself,"
Right. Exactly.
like yeah, like that sounds like something like friends would say to like another friend just to bust their chops.
Right. And I agree with you too. Like, I mean, we all can understand that like Paul kind of sucks and some people are just like, why would I want to watch these people who are like unlikable or whatever, right? And are we supposed to sympathize with them? And it's like, well, no, I don't think we're supposed to really sympathize with any of them, really. I mean, maybe Sarah to a point because she's also the surviving member, right? But like, I don't really like sympathize with any of them, or I mean, if anything, like, yeah, they're kind of just shitty hetero guys a little bit, sort of, who are trying to make this thing work. And that's just how some guys talk to each other. It doesn't make it right, but there's that. But that's what's then interesting to see that, like, oh, yeah, no, the spirit of Hell House has kind of entered them or has entered some of them. And then now, like, look where they're at, dead in hell, like all of this. So for me, it was just kind of something. And then having Sarah on top of that, being that we find out she's also dead, but like she isn't necessarily shitty. She's just somebody who is going along with her partner. And
Sure.
unfortunately, love will make you do a lot of weird things and you will overlook a lot of things.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's that for sure.
One standout scene also that I think is exclusive to the director's cut
Hmm.
is oh no, I'm blanking on the character. It might be Mac who
Yeah.
finds Alex's notebook and like he
Yes.
shows the pages of the notebook like that.
Right.
I think that is like that was really cool to see in terms of like oh snap.
Hmm.
So like Alex is like
He's been this way.
yeah,
Like
like he's
he's been.
entrapped. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he like it almost is like a thing of we kind of figure because I think it might be in the second movie that they have that scene. But it is in the director's cut if you watch it on Shudder or on Tubi or wherever you find it. But yeah, that we find out that it's a thing of like, and I don't completely remember the second movie like that, but let's just say that if you watch the director's cut and you see that scene, in the second movie, you also kind of figured that, like, I wonder why they decided to go here. I'll say that
Mhm.
much, right? That kind of a thing. So something tells me, because we have seen that scene in the director's cut, something tells me that, like, maybe Alex chose this place for a reason in a way, kind of a thing. So, which makes enough sense because it is very much like people have likened it a little to The Shining, where it's like, obviously, whatever the fuck his name is, Jack Nicholson in that movie. But like, he's been going insane for a while, and it's not until, I almost call her Shelley Long. That is Shelley Duvall. She finds the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? And
Mhm.
so like she realizes he's been going crazy this whole time. And in that situation, when Mac or whoever finds the little journal, we know or we can infer that Alex has been entrapped for a while. He's been this way. And how long has he been this way? Because ultimately they thought he was just kind of a little bit tyrannical, that he was a bit of an asshole, maybe, because this is his baby, this is his thing. Like you were talking about, like the consensus a little bit is that they've dunked so much money into this that it has to work in a way. And this is also something when I think about this takes place in 2009. I mean, I was still in high school at that time, but this is at a time where you have like, you have like a new president in the White House, you have Barack Obama there, but also you have at the same time a whole, financial crisis happening, the recession's happening. So this is something where, yeah, at this time, like, even though they were like white people who would probably have been fine like after the fact, right? Like, who knows? But like ultimately this would have been something where it's like, yeah, this does have to kind of work because we already sunk enough into it, and this needs to work in a way, and that kind of a thing. So yeah, I think like there is something to be said for that too, which and again, like, but how far are you willing to go, I guess, when all of this other shit's happening too? So
Yeah, the signs of like maybe we need to abort.
maybe we need to abort this. Maybe this is not going to work because we keep seeing creepy shit. This is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, after that first clown incident where that's when like it was staring into the basement and whatnot, and staring at Paul, like, no ma'am, like,
No.
get me out of here. Especially because, and this was something I called him the second time when I think it's Tony's like, these things don't move, like they don't,
right, their heads don't
stationary.
move.
But like we saw the heads move, like red flags, we gotta go.
Right, but then he's being told, well, you can't go, and the reason you can't. And that's what's interesting about it too, is that I don't know how many big themes we can pull from this, because ultimately it's a found footage movie, and it's supposed to be that this is real or whatever. But some of the themes I can kind of pull from the movie, if anything, is just like, how loyal are you going to be? Loyalty in general to your friends, because that's kind of the big thing, is that a lot of these people who were around Alex, not that they thought of him as like a deity or anything, or that he was like some weird cult leader or anything, but it was more that like, well, these are some of his first hires. His girlfriend's a part of this. Like, I want to be loyal to my friend, but how deep am I willing to be loyal to them when especially we're doing something that I don't think is safe. This isn't cool after a while if we keep seeing weird shit like this, like, but you can't pull it out. Like you can't. And even though Paul or whoever, or Tony or whoever wants to, like, again, too many characters, but like, but whoever is like, I want to go. And then they end up having that scene of like, we don't actually find out what happened, or we're not told why. Oh, I guess I can't leave now. But it's this thing of like, how loyal are you willing to be? It's like, yeah, I think loyalty is a big part of that too, of like, but at some point you have to be that fucking, I don't know, maybe at some point you have to be the person being like, no, fuck loyalty, we're getting the fuck out of here, what are we doing? Like, like, yeah,
sometimes you got to remember what you learn when you're flying on a plane. You take care of yourself first before you help your neighbor. And if I'm a part of a team and we're in this house and shit starts going left, you know what, I'm Joel the cameraman, I'm out.
I gotta go.
I'll see you at the end credits.
I have to leave because this is not right, like, at all. Yeah, that was kind of the big thing I got. I mean, that you could tie in a little bit about like just what it was looking like in 2009 when we're seeing this movie, like, that there is this kind of thing going on where like, this is a small business, we've dunked a bunch of money into it, it's got to hopefully work and whatever, and there's that, and there's not a ton else. I mean, also just the idea of like local legends and stuff, I guess, because that was the other thing I kind of gathered too, was like, especially when you find out from Melissa, right, and she tells you a little bit, because she's a local, and she is telling them about like kind of what the rumors are of this place, right? And so that kind of also helps too, because it's like, yeah, anywhere you live, you always kind of have those things, right? And so yeah. We did mention before we started recording, like, and I did find that I think we're similarly on this. Yeah, Travis, do you think you would go to fucking Hell House LLC like as an attraction?
No, absolutely not. This is not my bag.
Either.
This is not my wheelhouse.
No,
I like not a chance.
I don't want to.
And I think we both agree. Like we love a horror movie. It's fun to experience it.
Yes, right.
I don't need to be chased for like the sake of entertainment. I don't need like
pop out, like, boo. No.
Yeah, like I know some like they vary in terms of like the scale of like how intense they can be. But I'm like, no, I think I'm good. Like I don't need to
Yeah,
participate in any of that.
I
I'm
think I'm
glad that people
good.
dig it, but that's not for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I don't think I really need that. What are some? I'm trying to remember, like from where you're at. Like, what are some of the known ones, the different haunts that are around you, if you remember? Do you remember any of those? I feel like
There
PA has some of
is,
them.
yeah, there is it Field of Screams, I think is out towards Lancaster.
Okay, that
Uh,
might be that. Okay.
in Mangus Mills, like the Spring Grove area, it's in York County. It's a real small area of
Uh-huh.
York County. There's is it Kim's Crypt?
Kim's Crypt, I've heard of. Yeah, I've heard of that one too. I feel like,
Um,
yeah.
because my band got booked for Field of Screams.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember why we never ended up playing that show.
I don't know either. Yeah, we kind of had something like that, and I don't remember what it was. It was Field of Screams. We had it over in Churchville, Maryland, is somewhere that I think they had that at. There was that. I know also the Eastern Penitentiary in PA somewhere has that. That's like a well-known one.
Oh yeah, I've been to that.
Um,
That's over in Philly.
yeah, that's over in Philly, so that's a notable one where people come from all over the country to come see it sometimes. Um, the other one I remember is Jason's Woods. Do you ever remember Jason's Woods from back in the
That
day?
sounds familiar.
Yeah, like that was another one. I only know that because I think my sister went there before, and then also like Gunnar Hansen was there for like a signing of some sort, and apparently he
Mhm.
was an asshole. But anyway, so there was that. Trying to think. Yeah, like those are those kinds of haunts or whatever. And then obviously you have the big ones of like fucking like Halloween Horror Nights and shit, and whatever, like that kind of stuff. Listen, the only one I ever did was I went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. I had a good old time. Okay, listen. Like
I, I
it's
I've been to
fun.
that. That sounds like a great
Yeah,
time.
that was
Uh,
fun.
and just to correct myself, it's Kim's Crypt Haunted Mill. That
Oh,
it,
okay, gotcha.
yeah, I'm like because like I went to high school in that area. I'm like, why is it the name blanking? But
No, totally.
I can remember like driving by that like when I was younger
Hmm.
and like you'd, like see people like running and chasing. I'm like,
Mm-mm.
Nope,
Nope,
none
not for
of
me.
that.
Not for me. I would not that I like to do crazy fall time activities anyway, and or that many Halloween activities really. Like I'm not really doing that a whole lot. But like, I think if anything, like just from our conversation, like I would maybe if I wanted to do a little trip or something, I would maybe check out Waldorf Estate. Just because it's the Hell House place. That'd be kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe I would do that one at least. I'd be like, oh, this is the Hell House place. I'm kind of into it. Like, I don't know. That could be kind
Yeah,
of fun, maybe.
maybe. I had a similar thought like, upon researching it, like because of the tie back to the movie and like the known story, but like I want to
Hmm.
peruse that because like from a history standpoint, like the Eastern
Right.
State Penitentiary, like that was really interesting to go to. Or I
Hmm.
mean, not that it's on
Hmm.
like the same level by any means, but like to go to like Edgar Allan Poe's house in Baltimore. Like
Oh
when it's
yeah.
those types of things where it's tied to history, like that I'm more fascinated by, interested in learning more, like just hearing
Hmm.
the stories. So
I don't know much about Edgar Allan Poe's house, to be honest. I don't even know if it's much of an attraction. Maybe it is. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any fun like legends we have here or whatever. Because like that's definitely a part of this movie. The only ones I really know of are like the fucking Goat Man, and I don't even really know much about that, to be honest. There was Black Aggie. That was another one where it was like it was like a this angel at like a tomb, like a cemetery, and like if you sat under her, you'd die or something, or like you'd be so scared, or I don't remember. Look it up, Black Aggie. There was that one. I don't know, like a few different things here and there, and then just like the random shit of like this isn't a legend, but like it literally did happen, but like and I'll ask you about maybe what you have in your area of like fun little legends or whatever, but like when I was in college, I lived in a hotel for 3 months because it was too overbooked at my college. So they put us in a hotel right near the campus, and it was a Sheraton hotel, and I we I don't know, somebody said that they had like a weird experience, they had like a ghost experience or whatever, right? And so like we were like, oh, okay, like what do you even mean by that? And we were talking about it, And then we're doing a little bit of research in 2012, and we come to find out that at this hotel in Baltimore, Maryland, somewhere, at this Sheraton hotel, there was actually a father, and his daughter was going to a local. She didn't go to my college. She went to a Loyola Marymount. No, not Loyola Marymount. She went to the Loyola College in Maryland thing. I don't remember. But she went there. It was her dad, mom, little sister, and her, and they were coming for like parents' weekend or something. And the father was involved in like I don't know, like a Ponzi scheme or like something like that. And pretty much what he did was that he was staying at this hotel. He decided he was going to commit patricide, I guess. He went over to the local mall, went to a Crate and Barrel, bought a knife, brought it back, and what he did was that he killed his wife, his daughter, and his older daughter, and then he went into the bathroom after killing them and killed himself pretty much, right? And then they found the scene of the crime. This was in 2009, I think, and it was at the same exact hotel that I was living at for college for the first 3 months. So that was fun. That's just more of a true crimey sort of thing, or like a fucking weird thing, man. But like that was still something where I was just like, excuse me, what the fuck? Because then you could actually look up the news of it and be like, oh no, that's not fake. That's real. That happened. So that was kind of weird, but yeah. Do you have any like fun like legends or anything like that where you're at, or that you kind of grew up with or anything?
Yeah, not for where I'm currently at, not really sure
Right.
about. But in terms of like growing up and like where I used to live closer to I used to live outside of Gettysburg.
Okay.
And like spent a lot of time in Gettysburg. So of course,
yeah.
like, Gettysburg is very populous with various like haunted related things, from like Jenny Wade to Devil's Den, the haunting, like like the haunted battlefield. So you know, and then I know like the Ghost of Gettysburg is like a book series as well. I have one of my cousins, I remember reading them when I was younger. So there's like a bunch of different stories. I think there's like, it's the blue face boy or something. Like there's like a boy that's like outside of the window. So
yeah, totally. I love that. Yeah. Good times, good times. Yeah. I mean, like, there's just something about like having this like local thing, or like, you know, there's this like overarching legend that happens. And I think this movie is kind of showing that too. The one that I remember specifically too, not that I was in PA or anything, but the other one I remember was like the Bunnyman Bridge, you know, like that's something that is in PA that people know about, I think. Whether it's even true or not, I don't even know if it's really true, but like it's one of those things. And like, yeah, just some of that weird shit that you can just like be aware of, or you know. And then also we had like little TV shows too. Like I don't know if you remember this one, but it was The Scariest Places on Earth. Like, do you remember that show from the 2000s? Anybody remember this? It was like hosted by Linda Blair, and it was like Zelda Rubinstein was like the narrator, and it was all these different people just going to different haunted locations, and they would show it on like ABC Family or some shit. Like I don't even know. Like, oh my god, ridiculous! It was like that.
Oh, that was in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably watching WWF at that point.
I mean, probably, most likely. It was like that, and then also, well, you might have watched this one too. Fear on MTV. Do you remember that show? Anybody remember that?
I do remember Fear on MTV.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, that was like the reality show.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
That would have been something you might have watched, you know, back in your day, because that was like probably late high school for you, most likely, right? Like that would have been that. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure I've like seen a couple episodes of that. You saying it kind of jogs my memory.
Yeah, they would like wear the cameras. They would go out, and it was they would be at one haunted location. They would go and do these different challenges at parts of the location, and then some people would like dip out because they were too scared, and then the people who would end up at the end. They would have to do something. It was like a whole thing. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I just did a quick search on it and I seen the title
Oh,
card and the show
good
poster.
times.
I'm like, I remember that show.
Fucking good times, man. Yeah, no, Scariest Places on Earth, that also is kind of a bop too. That was a fun time. You can find those on YouTube, I think. But yeah, that gets me in like the scary mood, the Halloween mood, if you will. Because those are definitely something where I was just like, this was shown to children. Like fear wasn't necessarily, but like I still watched it. I was like 8 and I was just having a good old time. Like, what was I doing? Like, what was even happening here? Like, but it just is something where, yeah, I don't know. And just this idea of, yeah, like these different local legends that are happening and, yeah. And again, I'm trying to think of what else like this movie we could pull from really, but I really do think like this is if anything, like this was kind of a way for, Stephen Cognetti to be able to create a series of films. Like, I don't even think he maybe thought like, oh, we're going to have a whole series of this, right? Like, I don't even think he maybe even thought that. It was just a thing of like, let's do this one movie. And then I think for whatever reason, the movie just kind of caught on and it had like, just sort of this word of mouth thing, right? And then once you have that word of mouth, then you're able to kind of do other stuff because I think these movies kind of came a little in succession, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look real quick. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he had like a complete idea for all of them, especially for the first 3 movies, but it's just interesting to kind of watch this and see that like, oh yeah, no, they did have like the other one was 2018. So it was from 2015-ish or so, to then they had it in 2018 as the sequel. I think 2019 was the other sequel. And then it took about 2 years or so, or even 3 years, actually, I think. No, it took like 4 years, I think, from the third movie until they did the Carmichael Manor one. So, I think if anything, like this seemed to be a series where it started with the first one. And then after a word of mouth, really, there was a popularity of it, and then they ended up making the sequels of them, and then this 5th one is supposedly the last one. So that'll be interesting to see too. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other kind of thoughts on Hell House LLC that you wanted to share or anything like that before we start to wrap this up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just the opening I think is really good in terms of like
I think so too.
how it grabs you with, it's using that tour goer footage, right? That kind of takes you in and like, that hell breaks loose and then like they bring you back. And I guess from like completing the circle, I love that like when you get to Halloween night, then it's like it goes back to showing some of that footage, but then like then of course intercuts with like the tapes that are provided and like other footage. So I mean, I like see like that first night when my husband and I watched it, like that opening, it was like, oh, here we go. Like I'm on the ride, my hands are on the bar, like let's go. So
right.
No, I think it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to like hopefully bringing other folks over to like get them to watch this because I think it's going to be a good time to experience other people see this for the first time.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is a movie that kind of works perfectly for the Halloween season. I think it is something that, it is set on Halloween technically. Like that was when the opening happens. And so it does have that kind of vibe to it. And yeah, it has a good fall vibe to it too, because they're obviously working within the fall to get this stuff done, and to get this attraction ready. So I do think like, this is a movie that is fun to show other people, to kind of turn all the lights out and to put the volume up and to just kind of let people watch it and experience it for themselves. And you have to kind of go into it knowing like, hey, this is a found footage movie. So if you're not into that kind of a thing, then you may not like it. But like ultimately, if you're a fan of found footage or you like that kind of stuff, or You know, you can just get into kind of a fun little indie horror movie, really. And you know, then if you like it, hey, you have 4 other movies you can watch too, you know? And I do think at least these other movies are at least worth a watch once, at least. The one I'd probably rewatch is this one, and I'd probably rewatch Carmichael Manor. Second and third one, not that I wouldn't rewatch them, I probably would, but the quality from what I can kind of gather from a general consensus does dip a bit, but I still think they're kind of a good time to check out. And I'm interested to see what you think of the other one. So I'm sure you can always tell me, Travis, if you would like how you think of these different movies or whatever, or I'll see what you think on Letterboxd or whatever. So that'll be
Well, I'll let you know, because I really don't. I post on Letterboxd just to kind of track what I watch, but like I don't rank shit. I don't really. Either do I like it? Do I not?
Right.
But I am curious to see, because I think one of the things I like the most about this is, as someone who's not really big on found footage, and I admittedly have not seen a lot of found footage, but what I liked about this was the creativity of like the different types of found footage mixed with like the news footage and like the mockumentary style. So I'm gonna not look at the screen and see your face when I say this, but like I fingers crossed, I hope that like that style of blending continues to occur throughout the franchise. And again, I'm not trying to like see your expression.
We'll see.
But I think there's a reason why, from what I've heard from other people say, like why this one like punches as hard as it does is probably because of how creative it was with what it did with the genre. So
yeah, I would agree.
The subgenre.
I would agree. I think that you'll just have to find out for yourself now, won't you? I think that's an important thing. I don't have much of a poker face, but in that situation, I can.
Word up. Cool. I'm glad I closed my eyes just to be safe.
Exactly. And again, I think this is just really cool to like see a franchise that turned into a franchise, I guess, and Stephen Cognetti was able to help create this and make something cool. And you know, I think that there are plenty of people who really do like this movie and they think it is a good time, and I would agree with them. But I think that brings us to a close on Hell House LLC. There's not much else to say about it. Check this movie out for sure. You can find it on Shudder if you have that service, or you can also find it like probably on Tubi or any of these other places. Like I would pull up on those there for sure.
Oh, just to add, I actually saw it through AMC Plus, because like with the AMC Plus you get Shudder. So
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's that IFC Films and some other thing that you get through IMC Plus. So if you're an AMC Plus girly, you can go and get that too.
Honestly, this is the first year we've been an AMC Plus family or household. Like,
right.
It's pretty stacked. Like I
it's
think I'll
good.
be renewing.
Yeah, it's good. I've used AMC Plus a few times, and so I already have Shudder. So I think it's kind of dumb that like Shudder doesn't have the AMC Plus stuff. Like I can't get the IFC film shit and whatever. I'm just kind of okay, whatever. But I do. You have to pry Shudder from my cold dead hands. I want it all the time. I don't even care. But I will pay my yearly fee, and I will just keep it at that. So there's that. Because you just never know. There's some good stuff on there. Yeah, there's a weird one. I don't know if you want to check it out, but like, okay, if you're an AMC Plus person, right? There is this film. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's a weird movie, Travis, and you should check it out if you want to just laugh at it. It's called like Sex God or something. Have you seen it on AMC Plus? Like,
no, but it sounds amazing.
Oh my God. No. So it is like, I'm not going to go too in depth, but it's like a documentary, right? And it is about this guy who lives in like New Mexico or some bullshit. And he is like a meditation dude or something, but he is like kind of he's like a sexual therapist or like a sexual something or other, but he's not actually a therapist. He's just some like woo-woo dude pretty much. And it is like, it's a documentary, like it's an actual documentary, but you literally feel like you're almost watching like a parody of a documentary, but it's like a legit reel, I guess. And it is ridiculous. So I would check that out. Maybe that could be kind of a fun watch of just like, what in the fuck even is this kind of a thing. That's what I would say, just because that has like seared into my brain when I was watching it on AMC Plus, and I literally was like, what am I even fucking watching right now? I don't remember exactly what it is, but like it, I don't know. Now that you bring up AMC Plus, I'm just like, oh, I wonder if you've pulled up on that and or have seen it on the feed. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the thing about that, because it's taken like it is not even a comedy. It's like, I don't know. It's maybe not called Sex God, but it's called something like that. You'd have to look it up. I don't know, but like it is. Yeah, please. Anybody who's listening who knows what I'm talking about, like, you know, put it in the chat, I guess. But you know, yeah, you got to look it up. Like, got to try and find it on AMC Plus. You'll notice it from the guy who's like, he's in a meditative state and he looks like a fucking like weird hippie dude, kind of. Like that's what you'll know him for. So be on the lookout for that image on your AMC Plus account. That's what I'll say.
Interesting.
It's a weird documentary, and it's just, I don't know, but it was fascinating to say the least. If I find out what it is, maybe I'll message you privately and I will let you know what it is.
Yeah, please do. That would be
because
cool.
I might do that. I might just be like, you just need to check out this bullshit, okay? So there's that. Anyway,
Put it on my list.
please do. Anyway, so with all that being said, though, that brings a close on to Hell House LLC. So, you know, yeah, check this movie out, please. It's fun. It's a good time. And, you know, who knows? Maybe it'll interest you in more found footage and get you into that sort of thing. But if you would like to, Travis, you know, again, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about this. If you wanted to, you can plug any of your social media. If you want to like pull up, you know, tell anybody about any projects you have coming up or whatever that you want people to know about. Yeah, please do so. Talk your shit.
All right. Well, Jesse, thanks for having me back on the show. It's always a good time hanging out, just kind of chatting about a film. You mentioned a few of the episodes I've been on in the past. Like I've been on your show like a fair amount. So
you have, because you're fun to talk to. That's why.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, like I always have a good time talking to you about the movies too. So thanks for having me. Honestly, like I'm just kind of like keeping it easy right now with some what I got going on. So I don't really have anything kind of actively doing outside of like in the past having different projects, but you know, I'm pretty active on my personal Instagram at More Than Mindless. And you can find me on Letterboxd, which may or may not have the A in More Than Mindless. I more recently got the A put in because of, you know, wanting to make sure it's easier for folks. But yeah, I mean, I just post a lot of like LGBTQ stuff, like Rex, music, books, and yeah, if you want to like connect on there, that would be lovely. And follow me on Letterboxd. So yeah, thanks again for having me.
That'll all be in the show notes as well. I'll also probably have the link to the Waldorf Estate of Fear, so y'all can check that out too if you want to. And as you can always do, you can follow my show on, you know, social media. You can follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky at Cult Cinema Circle, and you just look that up and you'll find me. I'm also on Letterboxd at Jesse Kremp, JessieKremp, all one word. Or I guess if you look up Cult Cinema Circle, I'm on there. And then I have an email address, cultcinemacircle@gmail.com, in case you want to send me like, you know, I don't know, a love letter or like a recipe or like whatever you want to send me. I don't fucking know. But you can do all that if you want. And I think that's pretty much that. And then on your podcatcher of choice, 5 stars, 1-2 sentence review, you know, yeah, if you want to do that. And yeah, just share the show with a friend if you want, if you think that they would like the shit I like to talk about, I guess, which would be fun. And so this is like this is coming into the last week of October. So for next week, we're actually going to be like in the week of Halloween. And so I thought, what better way to end off the month with celebrating a movie and talking about a movie that actually is set on Halloween, but has a bit of a queer twist to it. But so next week, we're going to be pulling up on the film Hellbent from 2004. This is a movie that takes place. It was done by a queer dude. I believe he directed it. And also it is set in West Hollywood. It is following a bunch of gay guys on Halloween, and there's a killer among them, or killer on the loose, and it's just like a little gay slasher movie. So that's what we're going to pull up on next week. But yeah, with all that being said though, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast, and I will catch you all in the next one. And take care. Bye.